Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm so happy to be back with you, WRT family, and I'm so happy that on this Shabbat evening I get to be a Jew in the pews and daven, pray along with my community. Of course, I also have the privilege by way of welcoming the community of extending a welcome to my colleagues on the Bima. To my left, Cantor Danielle Rodnitsky. To my right, Rabbi Sasha Bacon. If you have not yet met the newest member of the WRT clergy team, Rabbi Bacon, is here and would love to greet you after services. Please make your acquaintance known. I see a lot of folks who probably have already had the chance to meet and greet, but we know that it takes a long time to meet all of the households in our big WRT community. I've had a wonderful July, and a highlight of my summer experience thus far has been a week-long spiritual retreat with about 20 other rabbis and cantors in Reisterstown, Maryland, which is about 30 miles west of Baltimore. 2 days into an expected 5-day experience that was comprised of daily meditation, yoga, prayer, good food, collegiality, study, and mostly silence, our camp was beset by tornadoes that caused us to lose power from Tuesday afternoon until the end of the retreat on Friday morning. In addition to getting used to cold showers and no coffee and no air conditioning on top of the discipline of a silent retreat, it was also meaningful to have a week that felt like old school Shabbat. A whole week of nothing to do and only to be. A dear friend of mine who recently passed once said, "We are not human doings. We are human beings." We often run ourselves ragged in the doings of life. On Shabbat, we are privileged just to be. So, will you please take a moment and just turn, you don't have to do much, but just share a little bit of yourself, maybe your name, or a word like Shabbat Shalom with somebody you haven't yet greeted tonight. And when we start singing again, it'll be time to pray with us.
Ever since you mentioned the glasses, I've been making sure to bring the other pair. Remember? You were like, your glasses transitions?
So we're going to call it framing or family?
Okay. You want me to sing something or no?
I'll introduce Fran Friedman to light candles. Or do you want to sing first?
Doesn't matter.
Sing a little bit and then we'll...
Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la la.
Throughout the summer, as most of us know, it is the custom of WRT to invite members of our community to offer remarks. Later this evening, our congregant and newly invested trustee of our board, Fran Friedman, will have the honor of sharing some reflections on Torah. Fran, we'd love for you and anyone else you want to drag up from your family to come and help kindle the lights for Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlikno shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Together, we turn to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Moving a bit backwards, we turn to page 138 for Lachado D, singing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Ya la 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 Lachado D, Ya la 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 Likrat Kala, Ya la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekaber, Ya la 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 Lachado D, Ya la 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 Likrat Kala, Ya la 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 B'nei Shabbat, B'nei Shabbat Nekabela, Shamor v'zachor, B'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushmo echad, L'shem u'tiferet, Belitila, Yai, Lai, Lai, Ya la 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 Lachado D, Ya la 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 Likrat Kala, Ya la 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 B'nei Shabbat. mechila. Yai rai rai, ya la 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 lecha dodi. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat, penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5, hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Yai rai rai, ya la 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 lecha dodi. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat, penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, yai rai rai, ya la 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 lecha dodi. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat, penei Shabbat nekabe. Ya la 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 lecha dodi. Ya la 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 likrat kala. Ya la 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 penei Shabbat, penei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing and we turn to page 146 for the call to prayer.
Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
God, source of life, you who varies the seasons, who creates night and dark, you who has given us discernment to know the difference between day and night, you who has made us partners in your creation. Thank you for the gift of this day, for the one ending and the one about to begin. In this birth of a new month, the month of Av, we pray to mirror the moon, shedding the weight of what has come before this moment, breathing into the new light, the illumination of opportunity to continue discerning between dark and light. May this season be a blessing and a teacher as we observe the cries of record high heat, earthquakes, and torrential waters, paying heed to nature's longing for its God-given rhythms. Every 28 to 31 days, a new start, fresh days on which to place our marks, tiptoeing, running, stepping forward. Walk with us, source of life. Bless our paths ahead. We turn to page 152 as we remain standing for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. Turning to page 154 for the Via Hafta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In this week's Parshat Matot Maseh, 42 times we read the Israelites set out. Despite the obstacles they met along the way, they continued the journey, moving, remaining in motion, just as they did crossing the Red Sea as they fled Egypt. This week, our congregation displayed its ability to remain in motion, setting out. As a group of us joined the Religious Action Center's Every Vote, Every Voice initiative in partnership with the Center for Common Ground's Reclaim Our Vote campaign, ensuring that our fellow citizens around the country have knowledge and access to information so that they may continue to set out in their pursuit for freedom. And soon, we will set out in Torah, as this week marks the ending of the book of Numbers. When we complete each book of Torah, it is customary to recite Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek, meaning strength, strength, and we will be encouraged, or we will make an effort. As we pause to celebrate the closing of one chapter, as we find rest in this Shabbat, we offer one another strength so that we may once again set out in our study of Torah, in our personal growth, in our relationships, in our efforts to make this world even incrementally holier than how we first found it. We continue on page 158 for Micha Mocha, the celebration of our collective journey.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom, Leshalom, Vehamidenu Shomrenu Lechaim, Ufros Aleinu, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shomecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 We rise for the Amidah on page 164. Yadadadadai, yadadadai, 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 yadadadai. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha, Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth can declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Havot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atarav lehoshia, Morid hatal מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We now continue with the words of our hearts or the words of our prayer book through page 180. You may rise or you may be seated. We'll know that the congregation is ready when you are all seated. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, יעשה שלום עלינו, עושה שלום במרומיו. as one, and we say amen.
It is my, can you hear me? This thing on? There you go. It is my pleasure to turn your attention to Fran Friedman, our Darshanit. Fran, why don't you give a little wave? There she goes. Fran is joined by her husband, David, daughter, Sydney, son, Jed, and sister, Dawn. And with her in spirit is her other daughter, Hannah, who is away studying in England in veterinary school. Fran and her family have been congregants of WRT for 18 years. When Fran is not at synagogue, she is caring for her family, enjoying their company, particularly during her boat outings with her husband, David. Fran demonstrates her love of the Jewish people and our Jewish tradition through her involvement with APAC and WRT's HEART organization, Holocaust Awareness and Remembrance Team. I am so delighted, Fran, to invite you up to this bima to offer your words of Torah and the reflections of your heart. And I want to thank you in advance for the time you committed to study and for sharing your insights with each of us.
Shabbat Shalom. As I read and reread this week's Torah portion, which is the last two portions from the book of Numbers, Matot Masai, I wondered what I could learn, write, and then teach about such an important part of the Torah. For those who do not know, one of Matot's meanings is tribes, and Masai means journey, as the tribes were on a 40-year journey through the desert. I very quickly learned that writing a Devar Torah is a journey in itself. Though maybe not as tedious of a schlep as 40 years in the desert, I came across my own obstacles, enlisted the help of others, and instead of manna had a bagel and schmear. This week's parsha discusses the idea of vow and then demonstrates how important keeping one's vow through the experience of the Israelites' 40-year journey in the desert. Moses first speaks to the head of the tribes and explains that every man should fulfill his oath. If a man makes a promise, he must fulfill it. Moses further explains that the same goes for every woman. If a woman makes a promise, she must fulfill it. Unless, and this is a very important distinction, unless her father in her youth, her husband obstructs her vows. The distinction stood out to me when I read and reread and reread again this week's parsha. These few sentences felt very personal. I constantly tell my children to be independent and to not let others dictate how they lead their lives. They should engage in the relationships where they make decisions with their partner, with no one person taking complete control. Although I'm aware that there are various ways to interpret the parsha, as every Jew has 3 opinions, when reading, I at times felt that men were the only ones who could make a true promise with God. I believe there are various times in all people's lives that in all people's lives, like one of a bar mitzvah or a wedding, where they can make a direct promise not only to themselves, but to God as well. Of course, making a vow or a decision is often not an action one takes on their own, and God is not always the intended audience. I often find that I make my most important promises alongside my husband, whether they are intended for God, each other, or our children. Instead, one of us feeling like we could annul the decision of the other, we try to make these decisions together, which helps us fulfill the strength in our promises. The latter part of the Torah portion is linked to the first, as Moses encourages the sons of Reuben and Gad to continue their journey and fulfill their vows of helping the tribes find a home in the Holy Land. Though the tribes of Reuben and Gad asked Moses if they can stay behind and not continue their journey across the Jordan River with the other tribes, Moses explains that they should join and fight as one, as the other tribes they promised God that they would do. Once the Holy Land is secured, Moses explains the various tribes can live where they please, but until then they must make the journey as a united front. I want to sincerely thank Moses for taking it easy on me and providing me and my Devar Torah with a message that is still just as clear as important today as it was when the tribes of Reuben and Gad were kvetching in the desert. Through spoken and unspoken vows, by being practicing Jews, we have all made a vow to protect one another. We must continue to journey together as a unified Jewish tribe and take a stand against those who try to go against us, just as our ancestors did when they entered the Holy Land. If it wasn't for Moses encouraging the sons of Reuben and Gad to uphold their vows to God and continue the journey with the other tribes, who knows if the Holy Land in Judaism would be what it is today. So, I vow both myself and God to always teach my children to defend their promises and encourage all three to engage in relationships that allow them to make decisions together, without one person having the complete ability to annul the wishes of the other. I also vow to continue on the journey of protecting our Jewish tribe and not backing down to those who are against us. Shabbat Shalom.
I just got to say, Fran, you really got your Jewish isms down to a T with the many opinions, the schmear. And I just want to thank you so much for teaching us about the power of word and the power of collective word. So with that, we look to the power of healing in words, turning now, thinking of our loved ones who are in need of healing, whether in mind, body, or in spirit. So as I gaze across the room and my eyes meet yours, please feel free to recite the name of your loved one aloud. Today, the WRT community is holding in our hearts Rachel Rackauer, Jennifer Leventhal, Roberta Friedman, Jeffrey Millman, Judy Balsam, Esther Batmechel Verezel, Rachel Bracha, Howard Bushin, Steve Grodzinski, Grace Neidish, Abraham Ben Miriam, Elizabeth Hartz, Tony and Gina DeLappa, Matthew Atwood, Anthony and Elizabeth Dankner, Deborah Kapnick, Nicole Shusey, Neil Glaskell, Leah Greenspan, Masha Batsura, Aviva Tzila Bat Esther Bela, Andrew Goldstein, Ken Master, Chava Batsara, Eliyahu Chaim Ben Fredel, Sheila Fried, Malket Zipporah Bas Rachel, Tamara Bat Malka, Deborah Greenfield, Bonnie Shapiro, and Heschel Meir Ben David Achana. Together, we continue on page 371 for the Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us
Together we rise and turn to page 586 for the Aleinu.
Aleinu leshalbeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
As with the seasons of the year, so too are the seasons of life. A poem by Henry Van Dyke, a Presbyterian preacher. Time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, too short for those who rejoice, but for those who love, time is eternity. We turn now thinking of those we've lost, though our love for them never fades. If you are in a period of Shiva, 7 days since the death of your loved one, please rise in body or in spirit. If you are in a period of Shloshim, 30 days since the death of your loved one, please rise in body or in spirit. If you are in a period of Shana, within 1 year of the death of a loved one, please rise in body or in spirit. If you are honoring a yahrzeit, the anniversary of your loved one's passing, please rise in body or in spirit. At this time, we invite the entire congregation to rise in body or in spirit in solidarity with our mourners. And today, our WRT community is also remembering those taken from us in recent days. Sarah Horan, mother of Erin Resko, grandmother of Ellie Tripp and Leah Resko. Henry Michael Zerko, son of Erica and Peter Zerko, and brother of Jake and Ben Zerko. Saul Mineroff, father of Carol Kushnick. Jackie Samwick, sister of Mark Samwick. Marty Schulman, father of Steve Schulman. Nardi Sertelman, husband of Marty Sertelman. Renee Brandeis, mother of Clifford and Charles Brandeis. And Phyllis Lorraine Gavin, sister of Judy Gross. We are also remembering those whose yahrzeit is marked over this Shabbat. Elsa Adler, Celia A. Aloff, Morris Meyerson, Lillian Birnbaum, Dan Silver, Nancy Tumarkin, Bess Byron, Laura Fitterer, I. Elma Ecker, Sarah Gelb, Mark Gitlin, Sam Glazer, Gloria Goldenberg, Jenny Goldstein, Natalie Goldstein, Abraham Gottfried, Lawrence Levine, Beatrice Gover, Abe Gruber, Fred Haber, Benjamin Hoffman, Vivian Easember, William Jager, Estelle Jaffe, Betty Kessler, Thelma Kestner, Helen Leipzig, Samuel Melamed, Jesse B. Menon, Teresa Myers, Theodore Morse, Lester Nadler, Andrew Novick, Carol Forsheimer, Burton Strauss, Louis Roseman, Sadie Rosenberg, Arthur Rosenthal, Herbert Ross, Joseph Rubens, Fred Rudin, Miriam Tessis, Ralph Shaler, Louis Simberkoff, Gloria Siriani, Paul Siriani, Lawrence Solomon, Beatrice Steyer, Walter Usen, and Richard Zellner. We turn now together to page 598, reading the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit ramam v'yit naseh, v'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. You may be seated. And we turn to the Oseh.
But which one? No, it's all good. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom, oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru.
So before the Kiddush Motzi, let's do
Oh, yeah.
announcements.
Yes.
Okay, got that one. So we want to say thank you to our wonderful greeter, Vicki Kravitz, and our wonderful Darshanit, Fran Friedman. And we've got a lot of announcements, so buckle up. Tomorrow morning, Rabbi Blake will be leading Torah study at 9 a.m. in our Sifriya. On Sunday at 9:30 a.m., Rabbi Blake will be delivering a sermon at the Greater Centennial AME Zion Church. And for a sneak peek, his sermon is entitled, "You've Stayed Too Long on the Mountain." Also on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m., WRT, in partnership with the UJA and Supplies for Success, is hosting a backpack drive and event to ensure that every child is prepared for their new school year. On Saturday, August 6th, from 10 a.m. to 12:30, we have WRT Volunteer Day at Mott Haven Fridge, where we will be packing, sorting, and delivering fresh fruits and vegetables to our Bronx neighbors in need. Soon, Rabbi Blake is teaching a mini-series, taking a deep dive on Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, via Zoom during August, so take a look at the e-blast for specific dates. Next week on Saturday, August 6th at 7:30 p.m., we will be commemorating Tisha B'Av, meaning literally the 9th day of this new month we are entering, Av, marking the destruction of the Second Temple and other Jewish historical tragedies. And last but not least, Tuesday, August 9th, come enjoy our summer stage concert hosted by WRT. There you have the really sweet opportunity to see Cantor Kleinman and her husband, Cantor Mendelssohn, singing together. So now we turn to the Kiddush and the Motzi.
And lots of other people and musicians and wonderful congregants who are also going to be singing as well.
Absolutely.
We turn to Kiddush to bless the sweetness of this Shabbat, and we rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'rahatavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techilah lemikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. And we bless our challah, our delicious bread. Taking recognition of the whole process, because of course bread doesn't literally pop out of the earth. It has to be grown as wheat and then processed into flour and then baked into dough and then transported here to WRT where we will enjoy it. And so we are thanking God and all of the people involved in the process of the making of this beautiful bread. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And please feel free to stop at the Oneg for a little nosh.